Tea, better known as chai. It's a simple milk-based preparation that runs deep through the veins of India. Almost everyone has it morning and evening. It's literally everywhere. No proper Bollywood bazaar scene is complete without a tea stall in the background. Tea is to India what beer is to Germany. Like a giant game of 6 degrees of Darjeeling, tea in some way has linked me to many people. To mention a few, my best friend in college, my best buddy from office, and of course, my wife. Tea connects people. It's not just Nokia. Recently, I was in Kerala, and a cousin took us sightseeing. He was keen to impress me by taking me around. He drove us from Kollam to Kottayam and then on to Vagamon, a tea estate town. We drove through the not-so-straight highways and from one mountain to another. As we approached the tea plantations, I could see a hill at the horizon. As we drove closer to it, I saw the evenly laid down rows of tea plants. They looked immaculate, as if drawn on a canvas. All possible shades of green were spread on these hills like a carpet. I got out of the car, the hum of the engine stopped, and I just soaked in the fragrance of the tea garden. And all I could think was how beauty can neither be created nor destroyed. It can just be changed from one form to another. From this breathtaking scene in Kerala to the refreshing cup on a Mumbai street, the beauty of chai is undying. Like many Indians, tea has been a part of my life's journey through its ups and downs. Many people who know me and who know how much I love tea would not believe that I didn't try it until I was 16. Having my first chai wasn't the rite of passage that it could have been, but something that I was forced into. Back then, I didn't drink tea. In my adolescent days, I had a firm belief that God grants you wishes if you give up stuff. The great renunciation theory, if you will. As any teenager, I had oodles and oodles of things that I wanted. A video game console, a multi-geared bicycle, free use of the family scooter, good marks in mathematics, and so on. I told myself that all of this were possible if I gave up tea. In fact, the more a society liked something, the more valuable it would be for me to give up. Sacrifice small things, get small things. But sacrifice great things. And then, as I started to achieve things, this became a self-fulfilling prophecy. So somehow, tea had gotten caught up in this grand scheme taking place in my head. And even before I really knew what was happening, I had given up tea, even before having tried it. Is it really giving something up when you haven't had it anyway? Well, here's how my first cup happened. I was with my dad delivering cards in Jodhpur for my brother's wedding. Now, anyone who has delivered wedding cards the old-fashioned way, hand delivery as opposed to e-invites, would know that there's no way you can walk in, say hi, deliver the card, and walk out. Of course, here in India, everyone offers tea. Do it once and you'll know. Every single one does. And we were on a mission to deliver about 2 dozen invites that day. While each visit should have been a small 4-step process, it just wasn't. We were spending at least 20 minutes in each house. And while my dad must have had some 10 cups of tea, I had avoided as many. With each cup of tea that I managed to stay clear of, my dad was getting annoyed. After all, the more a host insists, the more you still resist, the ruder you are. He would deliver the card with a smile, wave goodbye, and then give me the look. Of course, he didn't know anything about my tea celibacy vow. Throw in lots of nicotine, and it's safe to say that he was getting irritable. and I was timing my avoidance much better with each card delivered. At the mere mention of tea in a conversation, I was ready. I would jump right out and say, "Please don't make it for me." Some of the hosts did ask me why, but I would just shrug my shoulder and smile, a gesture clearly and effectively conveying, "No reason, but don't force me, please." And somehow that worked. We were finally at the end of our day, and Dad had planned to deliver this last card to his childhood best friend, Mr. Trivedi. His house was right in the center of Jodhpur, just by the foothills of the fort in the pale blue checkered board of a city. The sun had set, casting a light purple glow over everything, and our host decided to take us to the terrace for a view. It was an awesome sight, and while I was busy exploring the corners of the terrace to get a good look around and from all angles, I completely forgot to preemptively block my tea. And of course, 10 minutes later, 3 cups of steaming tea followed, with biscuits and namkeen, the works. Uncle called me over, and I suddenly realized that I had missed my precious window of avoidance. And as I walked towards them, my mind started frantically cataloging plausible excuses that I needed, and that I needed immediately. My hands, my throat, my face, but this tea was made. It's infinitely much easier to avoid tea which hasn't been made. And before I could utter a word to present my case, Uncle proudly, firmly, and with a smile, handed me my first cup of tea. I looked at Papa, desperately hoping that he would bail me out. Instead, he said, with satisfaction, "It's getting cold. Have it." And this, ladies and gentlemen, how I had my first cup of tea. I have no recollection of how it tasted or whether I liked it. I was defeated, and I wasn't going to give the tea the added satisfaction of being enjoyed. And this is how I met tea, and we haven't looked back since. Tea and tea stalls are deep set in the fabric of this country, right from the small villages to the busiest of metros. They stand resilient to the upmarket coffee shops that have sprawled throughout the cities. While these swanky joints with fancy music playing in the background cater to only a handful of people who can afford a $200 or more for a coffee, the humble tea stall is for everyone. And something as simple and economical as a cutting chai is definitely going to outlive the cappuccino. Case in point, there's no more a barista outlet in front of Mondegar, but the chai wala across the street is going steady and strong. Long live this city. I love taking trains in Mumbai, locals and for longer journeys as well. The Rajasthan-bound trains have tea sold aboard them for almost throughout the 16-hour journey. Over the years, its taste has been almost consistent, but peculiar things have happened to the quantities. Tea used to be sold in really small, short glass-sized plastic cups filled to the brim for 5 rupees. Visually, it was satisfying for the customers as they were getting a full glass of tea for a relatively small sum. I noticed after a few years that the tiny plastic glasses made way to 150 ml styrofoam cups. However, the quantity and the price remained the same. Now visually, people were buying for the same price only half a glass of tea. You could hear some people making a fuss about the quantity, but the vendors were unrelenting. Some trips later, I realized that the price had now doubled. It was 10 rupees a cup, and now it was a cup full, the 150 ml styrofoam cup. By doing so, the price on board the train was reset. It was reset to 10 rupees. People were happy to get a full glass of tea and didn't mind paying even double. Over time, that became the standard. And here's the catch. On a recent trip, I noticed that they were now using the original small size glasses. But because the glass was full, the price was 10. I don't know whether the tea sellers had a convention or what. But there's some serious psychology at work here with glasses and filling them up. These are magic tricks, culinary IQ tests being played on us every day. People like me who care about tea notice these things. Back here in Mumbai, there's a different tea drinking experience around every corner. Like the guy at the cross of 33rd and 14th Road in Khar, who wouldn't let anybody else, including those working for him, make his tea. Or Anna at the Mughal Lane in Matunga, where you're absolutely expected to play with the dog Rocket while sipping tea. Then there's the tea center at Churchgate, selling some 50 odd varieties of tea, and the nondescript tea stall owner at Cooperage, who puts so much lemongrass and sugar in his tea that it tastes exactly like sugarcane juice. Only hot. And I found one of the strangest tea sellers in Andheri, one of the northwest suburbs of our fair city. Many people here must be familiar with the Hindustan Unilever office there. This guy has a small room for a shop just across the street. Some years back, when a colleague asked me to accompany him for a round of tea, me being me, I of course couldn't refuse. We just chit-chatted about stuff and it took us 5 minutes to down the cutting chai. We started bickering about who would pay, and I won, or lost, depending on the way you look at it. I asked him how much as I pulled out 2 tenors. He said 34. I jumped a little. 34? He said, I said, we just had 2 cuttings. And he said, yeah, 17 for one. He just took my curiosity to a new level. When I asked him how he was managing to command 3 times the usual amount, he told me that he used the best ingredients. He said that he used undiluted milk, only a very particular kind of black pepper and cardamom. Oh, and the ginger was absolutely fresh, he added. And above all, he said, people pay. I watched to see how he made this tea. His technique was very basic. And just like Po in the movie Kung Fu Panda, I learned that there's no secret ingredient. But he had displayed the price clearly, and there was a cautionary statement below the price. And believe me, there were people waiting outside his shop for their turn. Bottom line is that you sure can command a price if you pack it well and serve with confidence. I'm sure the HUL office across the street had some influence on his marketing skills. Anything in a new pack comes with a new price. This was a unique tea. I had it for a couple of days. Once I had it by chance. I had it again to watch how he made it. And another time, just to be able to brag, how I had 17 rupees a cup tea at least thrice. And here I am, bragging about how I had 3 cups of tea for the price of 10. I'll end with this. I met my wife over a plastic glass of tea. Well, not literally met, but we got closer over our walks up to the tea stall at Nariman Point. As it is customary in many Mumbai offices, people go out for short walks after lunch or in the evening, and so did we. We would signal over the shoulder or over the email that it was time to go, and would synchronize our walks up to the lift. We would go up to the shop a short distance away and ask for 2 teas. This place was run entirely by women, and I felt a motherly touch in their preparations. While their poha and sabudana khichdi were delectable, they never put in too much effort in their tea. It was watery and sweet. and had a very woody aftertaste, a mix of extreme tang and coarseness. I never liked the tea there. But then, I never went there for good tea. I went there for good company. And while we stopped having tea there, I held on to the company. Well, friends, I've been drinking chai now for almost 14 years. I think I would have had 14 years times 4 cups a day through the 365 days. I did that math. It comes to 15,300 cups. And since I didn't get started till 16, I'm sure most of you are way ahead of me. Thank you.